Alright guys, welcome back. So in this video we'll start working on the material components on our app. So first thing, as you can see, I'm serving the Flutter web version, but you might have noticed that it's not displaying the icon. So let's go fix that out. So one thing I want to do, I want you to go to the web assets and I want you to create a new file here. It's called font manifest.json file. Now inside this file, so we are going to declare a couple of, it's just like it's a JSON file. So I'm going to declare a couple of the settings here. Family is equals to material icon. Then I'm going to include the fonts. And inside that fonts, I want to declare assets. So basically what this is doing here is actually, in our material web is missing those icons because at present Flutter web version is not supporting the material icons. So what I'm doing here, I'm just including those fonts icons here using this font manifest.json file. Now let me save this and compile. All right, so let me just uh, serve my app one more time. Web dev serve -- auto restart. Perfect. You see the error is gone. Like now I can see the previously it was not loading the icon. Please pay attention to the bottom right hand side of the screen. So now I can see the icon here. Now let's go start working on our main.dot file. All right, so the main.dot file, let me get rid of all of these things. So I don't need any of this. We are going to start fresh. So first thing I'm going to do, remember like in my previous video, the entry point of any dot file is the main function. So I'm going to declare a function called void main. And inside that main, now I want to paint my user interface because right now it's a web version. Right? There's nothing out there. I need to print something on my screen. So void main function, I'm going to call another function inside this called run app. And inside the run app, I'm going to call this my app. Now, as you can see, it doesn't understand what this run app is. So let me, just to make understand, run app is a function delivered in one of the packages. Let me import those package. Now I'm going to import this package flutter_web material.dot. Now, in case if you're wondering what this material.dot is, actually it's a Flutter delivered material package, and you will find tons of GUI interface. You can use your own package, but by default, Flutter and Dot is giving you all the material components included in this package. And I highly recommend you should check this out. Go to flutter.dev and look for what the material apps deliver you. There's like tons of all the text center table, everything, they're going to deliver tons of material components out there. Okay, so now you can see app is, the error is gone, but it still is complaining about this because it doesn't understand what my app is. So let me go start, I'm going to declare a class called my app, and I will extend this to stateless widget. Again, you might be wondering what this widget is. I'll come back to this in a minute, but first let me just complete this implementation. Now inside this app, so again, my app is my personal class here. And if you remember from my dot, is inheriting to a class is called stateless widget. So once you inherit that, then I want to implement polymorphism, that because I want to override one of the methods here. Any widget method, it gives you a method called widget build, and inside that build it takes parameter build context, and it returns another material component center, and I'm going to return anything like hello world. So as you can see, error is gone. Let me save this thing. Now let's take a minute here. I want to talk about what I did here. So we included the material package in our app. Now then we created our own class, my app, which is inheriting the properties from a stateless widget. Now what is a widget? Widgets in Flutter or Dot are the fundamental building blocks. So think it about it's a software component, it's a pre-delivered class, and everything out there what you build in Flutter is a widget. So widget, think it about is a blueprint, or it's you have a method of instruction written on a piece of paper which tells you, okay, this is how you're going to build the UI. So it's very important to understand what widget is. But actually, please remember, widget is not the actual thing. So for example, you are suppose you are browsing in a website. So in website, it shows you a couple of things, menu icons, pictures, and then it shows you different components of the website, all the information. But what's happening here? So all the HTML code or JavaScript code which is responsible to building that website is actually widget. So widget is the blueprint, is the code behind it. And what you see on the screen actually is called element. So as long as you understand two different concepts, what is an element and what is a widget, you'll be fine. So widget again is a software component, is a piece of code, is a blueprint, or you can think of it as like HTML code behind your website, which is responsible for painting your user interface. So there are more to it. We'll come back to this. What is a state in a minute. And that's exactly what we did. So we are creating a widget, that means a software component, which is inherited from this stateless widget class. And actually, we are calling him, everything is borrowed from a material package. That means I'm telling my this program to build, go to the my screen, and whatever the screen, doesn't matter, it's an iOS screen or Android screen or web screen or any other kind of user interface. All you need to do is the dot understand that when it's going to compile, it's going to create a software component on the screen, and is going to, what is going to do is going to, at the center of this screen, is going to print another widget. That means like it's going to print a text widget which will say hello world. So as long as you understand this anatomy of the, like how this whole thing is, by the time you're writing the code and how it is interpreted to your screen, everything else is a piece of cake. So if you understood this piece of information, everything else is like very, very easy. Next concept you need to understand about Flutter is widget. So there are three different types of widgets: stateless, stateful, and inherited. So for now, I think I'll just stick with the stateless widget. As the name said, stateless. That means there is no state on the widget. Now let's take a minute. What talk about what this state is. Now, state actually is the information, is the data. So as we said, like widget is a blueprint which is creating something, some elements on your screen. But sometimes what happens, you need to, if you're painting something, if it is just a like paint app, you don't need to worry about that. But if your app is actually doing something, for example, it's capturing users' data, that data you think is an state. So it's very important to understand, like state is something which holds the information related to that particular widget which is displayed on the screen. Again, these are very high level concept. If you don't understand that, that's okay, because once we start coding into this one, once we'll start building our app, then you will understand what the stateless widget is, stateful widget is, and what is a state. And third thing is the inherited widget. We'll talk about it in very later part of the videos. But for now, it's very important to understand is what is a stateless widget, and how to create those. And just think about, like stateless widget, we are creating those so that just we can create our screen. That means our pictures. That means if we remember, so our objective is to build a restaurant management app where we are going to paint the app bar and the the menu bar, and that we are going to display the data. All of those things we are going to build. We are going to build widgets to display those kind of informations. Alright guys, so as you can see right now, I have an error on my screen, and that's intentionally I want to show this to you. The good thing with Flutter is immediately shows you if you have an error in your app. So as you can see, my error, everything compiled pretty good, but still I have the error. So what this is complaining about, that I'm missing a material app. So let me go fix this quickly. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this center, and I'm going to include a material app. Now material app is another widget which I'm going to show this to you, how where I got this code from. So inside that material app, there is a property home, and home takes another widget. So I'm going to include that center widget inside that home. Let me save this and let's go compile our app. So our code looks good now. So now let's talk about the material app. So let's go to the flutter.dev. I want to you to browse through its user interface, and there's something called widget catalog. So by default, as I mentioned earlier, Flutter gives you a very rich library of material components. Almost whatever you can think of, a button, screen, padding, column, table, everything is included in all of those material components here. So let me go to the material components here. And as you can see, so this is, it gives you, by default, it gives you plenty of different kind of a structure you can include. So you can create, obviously go ahead and create your own structure, nothing stops you. But I highly recommend, because you see everything is pre-built out there. And you might say, it might be a little bit Googleized or material icon. If you want to give it a different look and feel, you can create your own package. But still, whenever you include any of the material components, I bet, like it comes with a hundreds of different options, so you can definitely customize everything. So by default, it gives you a lot of different app structure. I'm going to use scaffold.